The Bible says that people will turn back to the ways of the Old Testament. We have to remember that we live in the New Testament times, right? And while we live in the New Testament times, we have to continue to embrace the New Testament in general, right? Jesus' teachings, his moral code, right? The Old Testament is a good teaching piece, right? It is history, however, it's obsoleted, right? That's why it's called the Old Testament, right? However, I understand that sometimes the New Testament comes off as too peaceful, too boring. It's not chaotic enough. Old Testament's full of chaos, lots of it. So that's why a lot of people would prefer to turn back to the Old Testament. And I'm not talking about the book of Psalms or the book of Proverbs. I'm talking about the actual chaotic parts of it, like 1 and 2 Kings. We're talking Ezra and Nehemiah times, even Song of Solomon, because all those books contain some sort of chaos. This has been happening for thousands of years, especially when Paul wrote to the church of Galatia, saying that they were doing the same thing. As it says in Galatians chapter 4, verse 9. But now that you know God, or rather are known by God, how is it that you're turning back to those weak and miserable forces? Do you wish to be enslaved by them all over again? You are observing special days and months and seasons and years. I fear for you that somehow I've wasted my efforts on you. Because after Paul got done preaching, Christ crucified, the moment he walked away or went to a different church, his fellow brothers and sisters went behind him and preached the Old Testament to continue to embrace the Old Testament ways. To continue to be tribal, to continue to separate each other according to tribe, especially when it comes to holidays, even to things they ate, right? Jesus doesn't care what you eat. It's not what goes in you that defiles you. It's what comes out of you that's set in your heart. All those very questionable moral things, right? But no, people still want to go back to those strict dietary requirements of the Old Testament. So be aware that a lot of people around you are probably not going to care about the New Testament and strictly only the Old one.